Everyone thought Evelyn was just another aging widow, until the day her own family tried to make her disappear. But hidden deep in her late husband's belongings was a secret so explosive, so carefully buried, that it turned her quiet life into a psychological war, and no one could predict who would fall first. Everyone thought Evelyn Hart was just another aging widow in a quiet lake town, until the day her own family tried to make her disappear. The morning it started, the sky over Lakewood was the color of dishwater, flat and cold. Evelyn liked it that way. Sunshine made people expect you to smile. Cloudy days let you be honest. She was rinsing her coffee cup in the sink when the back door flew open hard enough to rattle the glass. Her son, Lucas, strode into the kitchen like he owned the place, bringing a gust of November wind and the faint smell of cigarette smoke. "Mom, we need to talk," he said, not even bothering with hello. At 50, Lucas still moved with the restless impatience of the boy who could never sit through dinner. Only now he wore it in a thinning hairline, a paunch under his golf shirt, and a permanent crease between his brows. "What's wrong?" Evelyn dried her hands on a dish towel. The house suddenly felt smaller, the way it always did when Lucas arrived with that tone. Kimberly followed him in, heels clicking on the tile, sunglasses still on though they were indoors. She gave Evelyn a quick air kiss that never got anywhere near her cheek. On any other day, they called first. Today, they'd just appeared, and they were both too dressed up for a casual visit, like they were coming from a meeting, not from home. Evelyn's heart dipped. "Is it Emma? Is something wrong with my granddaughter?" "No, Emma's fine," Lucas said quickly. "This is about you." Those 4 words carried more weight than any answer about Emma could have. "About you." Kimberly slid her sunglasses up onto her head and folded her arms. "We went by the storage unit." Evelyn blinked. "What storage unit? The one you and Dad rented years ago? The one off Highway 7? Lucas' voice was sharp, irritated. "They sent a notice about raising the fee. I figured there was no reason to keep paying for a bunch of old junk, so we emptied it." The dish towel slipped from Evelyn's fingers. "Lucas, your father kept his tools there, his navy trunk, the box he carved the first year we were married." "Yeah," Lucas said. "About that box." He looked almost bored as he delivered the words that split her world open. "It's gone. Mom, we sold it." Evelyn heard the words. Her brain understood the sentence, but they just floated there, like captions on a muted television screen. "You... what?" Her voice sounded thin, far away. Kimberly leaned against the counter, manicured fingers drumming lightly. "The antique dealer said it was sentimental, not special, but we got a decent price. And honestly, Evelyn, you can't keep clinging to things just because they were Henry's. It isn't healthy, not healthy." As if grief were a bad habit, Evelyn refused to quit. "That box was not yours to sell," Evelyn managed. Her hands were trembling. She folded them together so they wouldn't see. "Your father made it for me. He carved our initials into the lid with a pocket knife." Lucas shrugged. "Well, you weren't using it, and we needed the money for the cruise." "What cruise?" "The anniversary trip," Kimberly said. "Mediterranean. You knew we were planning something big." There it was again, this quiet assumption that her things were negotiable, that her memories were budget lines in their vacation plans. Evelyn swallowed hard. "How much?" Lucas frowned. "How much what? How much did you get for my box?" "400, he said, which was generous, considering it was just a chunk of wood with some outdated romance carved into it. Kimberly laughed softly, like Head made a clever joke. In that moment, Evelyn felt something inside her tilt. For 47 years, Shed thought of Lucas as Henry's best legacy, the lanky boy with skinned knees who used to fall asleep on Henry's chest during Sunday football games. Now he stood in her kitchen, dismissing the last thing his father had made with his own hands. "You had no right," she whispered. Lucas' shrug was almost cruel. "Mom, it's just stuff. You've got the house, you've got Dad's pictures. You don't need every little relic lying around collecting dust." Kimberly stepped closer, sympathy pasted on like makeup. "We did you a favor, really. Less clutter. And the extra money means we can finally take a break. We're exhausted. Exhausted." Evelyn thought of the late nights Henry had worked at the shipyard, the double shifts, The years when vacations meant a day trip to the county fair because that was all they could afford. They had been exhausted, but they'd never stolen from their parents to fund a cruise. "What antique dealer?" Evelyn asked. Her voice had steadied now, the way it always did when something was truly wrong. Lucas hesitated just long enough to confirm her fear. "Clyde's Antiques downtown. Little place near the hardware store." Evelyn nodded once. "Clyde's." She knew it. She also knew Clyde didn't usually buy carved boxes unless there was something unusual about them. "Why didn't you ask me first?" she said. "Because you would have said no," Kimberly answered, as if that were the most obvious thing in the world. Lucas checked his watch. "We just stopped by to tell you, so you wouldn't be surprised if you noticed it missing." "That's thoughtful," Evelyn said, surprising herself with how calm she sounded. Inside, though, it felt like the morning Henry's doctor had said the words aneurysm and nothing we could do. That same hollow dropping sensation in her chest, as if the floor had dissolved and she was falling through old memories. "You should consider seeing someone," Kimberly added. "A therapist, maybe." "You've been stuck, Evelyn. Dad's been gone a year. Holding on to every object isn't the same as honoring his memory." "Well, send you pictures from the cruise," Lucas said. "It sails out of Miami next week. Kim got us a balcony cabin." Evelyn stared at him, at the son she'd packed lunches for, prayed for, worried over during college and war, and his messy divorce. The son who now seemed to think her marriage, her past, could be traded for a view of the Mediterranean Sea. "Get out," she said softly. Lucas blinked. "What?" "You heard me. Get out of my house." Kimberly's mouth fell open. "Evelyn, there's no need to be dramatic. Dramatic is selling something your father made with his own hands and calling it a favor," Evelyn said. "Get out." Lucas muttered something under his breath, but he turned toward the back door. Kimberly followed, pausing only long enough to toss over her shoulder. "You really should talk to someone about this anger, you know." The door slammed. The house fell silent. Evelyn sank into the nearest chair, palms pressed flat against the cool wood of the table. For a long time she just sat there, listening to the old refrigerator hum and the clock tick on the wall, trying to slow her breathing. They had sold Henry's box. The shock of it was bad enough, but beneath the shock, something else was crawling around, a question she couldn't yet name, an unease that felt bigger than one wooden box and a selfish cruise. "Henry," she thought, staring at the empty corner where the box used to sit. "What did you put in there that our son was so eager to get rid of? And why, after 47 years of marriage, had you never told me there was more to that box than carved initials and a memory of young love?" The bell over the door of Clyde's Antiques gave a half-hearted jingle when Evelyn pushed it open that afternoon. The shop smelled like dust and lemon oil and second-hand stories. Clyde himself looked up from behind the counter, glasses perched on the end of his nose. "Well, if it isn't Mrs. Hart. Haven't seen you in here since Henry dragged you in to argue about that ship in a bottle. He said the rigging was all wrong," Evelyn recalled automatically. The memory hit her with a brief, bittersweet warmth. "He was right," Clyde said. Then he seemed to really see her face. His smile faded. "You all right?" "I'm looking for a box," Evelyn said. "Carved oak, about so big." She held her hands apart, initials H and E on the lid. "My son sold it to you this week." Recognition flickered across Clyde's features. He winced. Ah, what?" Evelyn asked. Clyde scratched his jaw. "I did buy that box, yes. Handsome piece. Old school workmanship. I was planning to call you about it. Actually, but your boy beat me to it this morning." "Beat you to what?" "Telling me not to talk to you." Clyde looked uneasy. "He came back in. Said you'd gotten confused about some family heirlooms and might cause a fuss. Told me it was better for everyone if I just kept our business between us." Heat crawled up Evelyn's neck. "He said I was confused?" His words, not mine. Clyde leaned forward. "You've always been sharp as a tack, Mrs. Hart." I didn't believe him, especially after what we found. A small chill slid down Evelyn's spine. "Found what?" "That box of yours," Clyde said slowly. "It wasn't just a box." He disappeared into the back room, leaving her alone with shelves of faded quilts and tarnished silver. When he returned, He carried a padded envelope and a look that said he half expected lightning to strike the counter. "I sold the box already," he said. "Guy came in early, paid cash. But before that, me and my assistant were cleaning it up. There was a false bottom. Darn near missed it." He opened the envelope and slid out a folded sheet of paper, yellowed at the creases. Evelyn's breath caught at the sight of Henry's handwriting, precise, mechanical print script from years of drafting ship schematics. Clyde tapped the paper. "This was tucked inside the secret compartment. I figured somebody in your family should have it, whatever it is." Evelyn unfolded the page with careful fingers. "Evie," the note began, "if you're reading this, it means I didn't get the chance to tell you in person. Forgive me. I kept this quiet for your sake, not mine." Beneath the neat lines of writing was a string of letters and numbers grouped in odd patterns. It looked like nonsense at first glance. LH 72, Coast, the 8th of November 2019. MH 45, Harbor 0307E, H&E. Only if dangerous. Evelyn blinked. For a heartbeat, she was back at the breakfast table 30 years earlier, watching Henry scribble figures on a napkin as he muttered about ballast and weight ratios. "What is it?" Clyde asked. Not sure yet." She pressed the page to the counter to steady her hands. "But my husband was not the type to carve secret compartments for nothing." Clyde nodded slowly. "I had a feeling. Only reason I didn't just toss that paper was the way the letters were written. Military man's handwriting if I ever saw it." "He was Navy before he took the job at the shipyard," Evelyn said absently. Her chest ached as she traced the first line of Henry's note. "If you're reading this, it means I didn't get the chance to tell you in person." Henry had died in aisle 3 of the hardware store, hand on a box of screws, mid-sentence, no goodbye, no last talk. Just a phone call from a stranger and a doctor's kind eyes. "What did the man who bought the box look like?" she asked. Clyde hesitated. "Middle-aged, ball cap. Didn't give a name, but..." He lowered his voice. "When I mentioned Wed found something inside, he got real interested. Asked if Wed opened it. When I said Wed only found a note, he looked disappointed." "Disappointed?" Evelyn repeated. "Yeah, like he was hoping for something more. I thought maybe he was just a collector who liked surprises." Evelyn folded the note again, more carefully this time, like it was something living. "Did Lucas tell you anything else?" "About me, I mean." Clyde's jaw tightened. "He said you've been forgetting things, misplacing bills, getting agitated at the market." He shook his head. "Didn't sound like the woman who can still recite half the charter of the town council by memory." Evelyn exhaled slowly. So that was the story they were spreading. Confused, forgetful, agitated. Plant the idea often enough, and when the time came to shove her into a memory care facility, the neighbors would just nod sadly and say they'd seen it coming. "Thank you for keeping this," she said, tucking Henry's note into her purse. "And for not believing everything my son says." Clyde studied her a moment longer. "If you need anything, Mrs. Hart, you come see me. Your Henry was a good man. He always paid fair, even when he could have haggled." Evelyn smiled faintly. He hated haggling. Said it made him feel like he was stealing somebody else's dinner. That night, the house felt different. Not just empty, but watchful. As if the walls had secrets stuffed into their insulation. Evelyn sat at the kitchen table with Henry's note, a cup of tea growing cold by her elbow. The string of codes blurred if she stared too long, so she forced herself to read them out loud. LH 72 Coast 110819, MH 45 Harbor 0307E, H&E. Only if dangerous. Only if dangerous. Dangerous how? Dangerous to whom? The ache of having something of Henry's she didn't understand, mixed with the fresh wound of Lucas' betrayal, until it was hard to tell where one pain ended and the other began. She went to Henry's old desk in the den, a solid oak beast that had outlived 3 office chairs, and opened the bottom drawer. Files, manuals, folded ship diagrams, the last will and testament they'd updated after Henry's first heart scare. For years, Evelyn had believed she knew the contents of that drawer as well as she knew the back of her hand. Now, the neat rows of labeled folders looked like closed doors in a hallway shed never walked down. She pulled out a faded blue binder, labeled pension and misc. It was exactly the kind of place Henry would hide something. Somewhere boring. Somewhere no one but him would bother to look. Inside were photocopies of Navy discharge papers, pension statements, and a list written in Henry's tight script. Coastline Engineering. Consult 1991 Harborview Survey. 1994 Lakewood Marina Expansion. 2003. Evelyn frowned. Every line on the list had a small notation next to it. LH 72, MH 45, LM 03. The same codes from the note in the box. Her pulse picked up. "Henry, what were you doing?" The phone rang, shattering the quiet. Evelyn jumped, nearly dropping the binder. She checked the caller ID. Lucas. She considered letting it ring, but 47 years of being his mother had trained her to answer, no matter how much she didn't want to. "Hello, Mom." Lucas didn't waste time. "Did you go bother Clyde?" "Bother?" "I went to reclaim what's mine." "I told him you might be confused," Lucas said. "You can't just let yourself spiral like this every time something reminds you of Dad. It isn't healthy." There was that word again. Healthy. As if grief were an illness and he was qualified to diagnose it. "You sold the last thing your father made with his own hands," Evelyn said. "And now you're worried about my mental health?" Silence crackled on the line. Then Lucas sighed. "Look, Mom, Kim thinks I don't care what Kim thinks," Evelyn cut in. She rarely interrupted. Henry always teased her that she'd let a telemarketer finish a whole speech before saying no. Interrupting Lucas felt like stepping off a cliff. Another silence, heavier this time. "I'm worried about you," Lucas said finally. "You live alone. You obsess over Dad's things. You haven't moved on." Evelyn looked at Henry's note, spread open on the table, at the codes and the words "only if dangerous." "Some things," she said slowly, "you don't move on from. You move forward with them." Lucas huffed. "That sounds like something from one of your church bulletins." "Maybe." She squared her shoulders. "Lucas, did you know there was something hidden inside that box?" The pause was small, but she heard it. "What are you talking about?" "Clyde found a false bottom. There was a note from your father." "What did it say?" His tone sharpened, interest cutting through the practiced concern. Every instinct Evelyn had as a mother screamed at her to protect him from trouble, from shame, from hard truths. But another instinct, older and quieter, whispered that this time, protection might mean telling him nothing. "It was personal," she said, "between me and your father." Lucas cursed under his breath. "Mom, this is exactly what I mean. You're making up drama where there doesn't need to be any. Dad's gone. Whatever secrets you think he left, I don't think," Evelyn said. "I know, and for the first time today, I'm grateful you sold that box." "Grateful?" "Yes, because now I know you were in a hurry to get rid of something you didn't understand." She hung up before he could respond, heart hammering. It felt rude. It felt unlike her. It also felt necessary. Afterward, she sat staring at the phone, the old guilt creeping in. Henry would have hated that conversation. Head always said, "You never hang up on family in anger." But Henry also hadn't lived to see their son treat his mother's memories like loose change in a couch cushion. Outside, the lake wind slapped bare branches against the windows. The house creaked. Somewhere deep in the plumbing, a heater kicked on with a hollow thud. Evelyn spread Henry's note and the binder out side by side. If grief and betrayal were weights on her shoulders, curiosity was the small, bright engine in her chest that kept her upright. "Dangerous," Henry had written. And if Henry thought something was dangerous, it was past time she found out why. Morning came early, shoving gray light through the bedroom curtains. Evelyn hadn't slept much. Her dreams had been full of water, dark harbors, and steel hulls, and Henry's voice calling numbers she couldn't quite hear. She made coffee on autopilot, the way she and Henry had done for decades. Filter, 2 scoops, slow pour. Habit was a kind of comfort, so was purpose. Today, she decided, she would stop guessing and start asking the right person. Gerald Lawson lived 3 blocks up the hill. In the same house Head bought the year, Henry brought Evelyn home from the hospital with baby Lucas. He and Henry had worked together at the shipyard, and argued for 40 years about whether the Bears would ever win another Super Bowl. Gerald answered the door in flannel and socks, his white hair sticking up like he'd been electrocuted. "Evie Hart," he said, blinking. "Either the world is ending, or you finally decided I make better coffee." "I brought my own," Evelyn said, holding up the thermos. He laughed and stepped aside. "Then it must be serious." They sat at his kitchen table, the same scarred oak as hers, only with more coffee rings. Evelyn laid Henry's note and the binder between them. "Henry kept secrets from me," she said without preamble. "I need you to tell me if you know why." Gerald's face changed in a way she hadn't seen since the day of Henry's funeral, somewhere between grief and alarm. He picked up the note, adjusted his glasses, and read in silence. "LH-72, he murmured. "Coast. MH-45, Harbor." He set the paper down slowly. "He never told you about this? If he had, I wouldn't be here asking," Evelyn said. Gerald exhaled through his nose. "I thought he did. Or would. We talked about it, once, out on the lake after his first heart scare. He said he'd tell you when the time was right." "The time ran out," Evelyn said. The bitterness surprised her. She'd never been angry at Henry for dying before. Gerald winced. "Yeah, it did." He opened the binder and scanned the list of consulting jobs. "These codes aren't random. They're project identifiers. LH-72 was the Lake Harbor reinforcement job back in the late 70s. MH-45 was the Midland Harbor Survey." He tapped the last line. "And H&E? That's not a project. That's you and Henry." "I figured that part out," Evelyn said. "What I don't know is why he wrote only if dangerous." "Only if what is dangerous?" Gerald hesitated. For a moment, she saw the younger man had once been the one who'd gone quiet whenever conversation drifted too close to classified contracts. "Evie," he said finally, "Henry and I did a lot of work after we left the Navy. Not all of it was in the brochure. Some of those harbor jobs weren't just about building docks. They were about hiding things." "Hiding what?" "Money, equipment, sometimes people," Gerald said. "Government wanted discreet places to move things without drawing attention. Henry was good with numbers and weight. I was good with logistics. It paid well, and we told ourselves we were patriots." Evelyn stared at him. "Are you telling me my husband was involved in something illegal?" "Not illegal," Gerald said quickly. "Just complicated." And then, sometime in the late 90s, complicated turned into, "we don't ask anymore." That's when Henry started getting uneasy. Henry who could sleep through thunder. "He told me he was setting up an account," Gerald went on. "Said that if anything ever happened, if what we'd helped build turned ugly, he wanted you covered. Said he was going to use some of his consulting money and, other information to build a safety net." "Other information," Evelyn repeated. Gerald shrugged, guilt written in the slump of his shoulders. "You remember when Lucas started bragging about his real estate deals? How he always seemed to have a sure thing? I remember wishing he'd stop taking shortcuts," Evelyn said. "Well, Henry realized your boy was talking in front of the wrong people. The kind of people who hear sure thing and smell vulnerability." Gerald tapped the codes again. "Henry used the same network that paid us for harbor work to track where the real money was going. He invested in the things Lucas only pretended to understand." Evelyn sat back, the room spinning just enough to make her grab the edge of the table. "He didn't trust our son," she whispered. "He trusted you," Gerald said gently. "That's why he kept it quiet. He knew if Lucas got wind of a big account with your name on it, he'd start scheming. So Henry disguised everything as boring engineering paperwork and tucked the key into that box he knew you'd never throw away. And Lucas sold it," Evelyn said. Saying it out loud made the betrayal throb like a bruise. "Yeah," Gerald said softly. "He did." She pressed her fingers to her temples. "So this key, these codes, they lead to an account Henry built to protect me from a mess he helped create and a son he didn't fully trust." "That's the shape of it," Gerald said. Evelyn drew a slow breath. "Can you help me find it?" Gerald looked at her for a long moment, assessing. Not her age, she realized, but her resolve. "You're sure you want to open this door?" he asked. "Once you see what Henry built, you can't unsee it. And if Lucas is already sniffing around, Opening it might paint a target on your back. Evelyn straightened. The tremor in her hands had eased, replaced by something steadier. My back's already painted, she said. Lucas is telling people I'm losing my mind. Kimberly is planning cruises with money she doesn't have. Whatever Henry thought was dangerous enough to hide, it's closer than any harbor. Gerald's mouth tipped up at one corner. There she is, he muttered. There who is? The woman who threatened to march down to the shipyard and rearrange some noses if they didn't give Henry hazard pay, Gerald said. All right, Evie. Let's go fishing. He shuffled off to his study and came back with an old laptop and a folder of his own. The laptop wheezed to life like an asthmatic mule, but it connected to the internet. Gerald typed in a web address from memory, some obscure banking portal, with a login page that looked like it hadn't been redesigned since 2003. I still handle my own account, he said. Old habits. He pointed to the screen. What were the exact sequences on Henry's note? Evelyn recited them. Gerald entered LH7 2 Coast 110819 as a client ID. The cursor spun. Access denied. Try the second, Evelyn said. MH45 Harbor 0307E. Access denied. They tried combinations, capitalizations, even Henry's old Navy ID number. Finally, Evelyn remembered the last line. H and E only if dangerous, she said. That must mean both of us. Our initials. She leaned over and typed H and E into the username field. Then the string of numbers with their wedding date slipped in between, the way Henry had written on their luggage tags when they traveled. For a beat, nothing happened. Then the screen changed. A simple interface appeared. Black text on white. Welcome. E. H. Security question. Where did you stand the first time you knew? Evelyn's heart tripped. She didn't need to ask what Henry meant. On the seawall at Lakewood Pier, she whispered, I was in red shoes. He kept tripping over his words. She typed seawall into the answer box and pressed enter. The balance that blinked onto the screen didn't seem real. It looked like someone had accidentally added an extra digit. 4,762,903.17. For a long moment, Evelyn couldn't breathe. She felt Gerald's hand close over her forearm, steady and careful, like he thought she might faint. I guess the safety net worked, he said quietly. Tears burned the backs of her eyes, hot and complicated. All those years, she said, we worried about retirement, about medical bills, about whether we could help Emma with college, and he had this sitting in some hidden account. He didn't use it for himself, Gerald reminded her. He was saving it. For you. For when things got bad. I'd say being nearly erased by your own son qualifies, Evelyn murmured. On the screen, a small notification blinked. One unread message. She clicked it. Henry appeared in a small video window, older and more tired than she remembered from his last year, but with that same steady look she'd fallen for at 22. Hi, Evie, he said. If you're seeing this, the worst happened. Henry's recorded voice filled Gerald's cramped study, threading through the hum of the old computer. I hoped I'd get to explain all this over breakfast someday, he said. You with your tea, me with my terrible coffee. But if you're watching, it means time ran out, or someone forced your hand. Evelyn's fingers tightened around the edge of the desk. I'm sorry for the secrets, Henry went on. You had enough on your shoulders without knowing I'd helped build a system other people might use to hurt our family. I thought if I kept this account quiet, I could fix things before any of it touched you. He looked down, then back up, eyes fierce in a way she'd only seen when someone insulted their son's pitching arm or tried to shortchange her at a yard sale. But if Lucas is the reason you're here, then the danger I was worried about didn't come from Washington or some nameless contractor. It came from our own living room. Evelyn swallowed hard. Beside her, Gerald stared at the screen as if Henry might step out of it. Our boy has your stubborn streak and my weakness for shortcuts, Henry said. I started seeing things, the gambling, the lies, the way he looked at our finances. I hired a man to dig, and what he found scared me more than any classified project ever did. He hesitated, then continued. I don't want this money to destroy what's left of our family. That's why everything is set up in your name, with protections, If Lucas tries to come at you through the courts, the account will flag it. There are attorneys and investigators ready to step in. Gerald knows who to call. Of course I do, Gerald muttered. Henry's mouth softened. Evie, listen to me. You are not helpless. You are not just anything, not just a widow, not just a mother, not just a woman of a certain age. You ran this household on a shoestring for decades. You kept us afloat when I was too proud to ask for help. This account isn't a gift, it's a correction. It's me finally putting in writing how much your work was worth. A tear slipped down Evelyn's cheek. She didn't bother to wipe it away. If you decide to forgive Lucas, Henry said, that's your call. I won't be around to argue. He gave a small, crooked smile. But don't you dare let him or anyone else convince you you're losing your mind just because it makes their life easier. Use whatever you need to stay free and stay yourself. That's all I ever wanted. The video ended on Henry's face, frozen mid-breath. The screen went back to the account summary as if nothing extraordinary had happened. Gerald cleared his throat. Well, he said, voice rough, if there were ever a love letter disguised as a financial statement, that was it. Evelyn let out a shaky laugh that was half sob. He always had to make things complicated. He always trusted you to figure out complicated, Gerald corrected. On the screen, another small alert appeared. Legal files available for download. Evelyn clicked through, skimming the names, law firms, trust documents, medical directives she hadn't known existed. Henry had built a legal fortress around her future, while she'd been worrying about coupon clipping. Tucked among the folders was one labeled, "In case they call you crazy." Evelyn opened it. Inside were scanned reports from a psychologist Henry had asked her to see after his first aneurysm scare. At the time, Head said it was routine, just something the insurance company wanted. The evaluations all said the same thing: cognitively sound, no signs of dementia, strong executive function. The most recent was dated 18 months before he died. Heat prickled behind Evelyn's eyes again, while she'd been filling out endless bubble sheets and memory tests. Annoyed but compliant, Henry had been building evidence to protect her from exactly the story Lucas and Kimberly were now spreading. He knew they might try this, she said quietly. He knew our own son would rather declare me incompetent than fix his own messes. Gerald put a hand over hers. He also knew you'd be the one left to decide what to do with that truth. They sat in silence for a while, listening to the radiator rattle. Outside, a dog barked at nothing. Life went on. Unaware that in a little house near the lake, a 72-year-old woman had just discovered she was at the center of a story bigger than she'd ever imagined. Eventually, Evelyn straightened. If Henry set up all these protections, there must be instructions for what happens if Lucas actually makes a move. Gerald nodded toward another folder labeled Response Plan. Want to see the backup plan your husband cooked up? I think it'd better, she said. The documents were meticulous flowcharts, contact lists, automatic triggers that would notify attorneys and investigators if certain legal phrases appeared in any filing with her name on it. There was even a draft of a letter to the local paper, exposing any attempt to shove her into a facility against her will. Henry really didn't trust our boy, Evelyn said, more sad than angry now. He hoped he was wrong, Gerald said, but he prepared for being right. Evelyn stared at the glowing screen until the words blurred. So many safeguards, so many contingencies, all because the child shed once rocked through thunderstorms had grown into a man who saw his mother as an obstacle. She thought of Lucas as a teenager, slamming doors and muttering about how unfair everything was. Back then, Shed believed he would grow out of it, that life would sand down his selfish edges the way it did for most people. Instead, adulthood had just given him better vocabulary and more expensive bad habits. Gerald poured her more coffee without asking. "What are you going to do?" he asked softly. "I don't know yet," Evelyn admitted. "Part of me wants to march over to Lucas' house and wave this account balance in his face. Part of me wants to pretend I never saw it and go back to clipping coupons." "You're not going back," Gerald said. "You can't unknow this." Evelyn looked at Henry's frozen face on the webcam thumbnail, at the numbers on the screen, at the folder titled, "In case they call you crazy." "No," she said slowly. "I can't." She took a deep breath, feeling something old and heavy shift inside her like a ship changing course after years of drifting. "For 72 years," she said, "I have apologized for taking up space. I apologized when Lucas was little, and I missed his game because I was working a double shift. I apologized when I couldn't give him the car he wanted, the college he wanted, the wedding he wanted. I am done apologizing for existing." Gerald's eyebrows climbed toward his hairline. "Remind me never to get on your bad side, Evie." "I don't want a bad side," she said. "I just want a boundary." She reached for Henry's note, folded it carefully, and slipped it into her wallet behind her driver's license. "Lucas thinks I'm a soft target," she continued. "Kimberly thinks age makes me harmless." Henry knew better. "It's time I started acting like he was right." She stood, joints protesting but resolve steady. The woman who'd shuffled into Gerald's house that morning, feeling small and foolish, now felt taller. Not young, not strong in the way she'd once been, but solid, rooted. "Where are you going?" Gerald asked. "Home," Evelyn said. "I need to put some of these protections in motion before Lucas does something we can't take back." She paused at the doorway and glanced over her shoulder. "And then," she added, "I think I'm going to make myself something nice for dinner, just because I can." Gerald chuckled. "That's the spirit." As Evelyn stepped out into the cold Lakewood air, Henry's words echoed in her mind. "You are not helpless." She wasn't. Not anymore. If you were in Evelyn's place, holding proof of a secret fortune and your own child's betrayal, what would you do next? Keep watching this story to see just how far a 72-year-old widow is willing to go to protect her freedom, and what happens when her son realizes his confused mother has been 3 steps ahead all along. The next morning felt different. Evelyn woke not as the unsure widow who'd been blindsided by betrayal, but as a woman who had just inherited a truth powerful enough to split her life into before and after. Her house, once merely quiet, now seemed filled with whispers. Not ghosts, no. Evelyn didn't believe in that. These were echoes of everything Henry had prepared for her. Every folder, every safeguard, every chilling detail had placed like breadcrumbs through the years. And she was finally following them. She brewed her coffee, steadier than she'd been in weeks, and sat at the kitchen table with Gerald's old laptop humming like a cranky tractor. Last night felt unreal, like she'd watched someone else discover a hidden fortune. Someone else learn her son had been circling her like a wolf who thought she was too frail to bark, let alone bite. But it was real, all of it. The account, the message, the truth. And the truth, Evelyn decided, deserved daylight. She opened the folder labeled Response Plan, Secondary, the one she hadn't dared touch last night. Inside were more documents, timestamps, names, credentials, people Henry trusted, people who owed him favors, people who could protect her. But at the very bottom was something she hadn't expected. A contact card for a woman named Lydia Crane from a private intelligence firm in New Mexico. Her stomach tightened. Henry never dealt with PI firms out west. Why this one? There was a note attached, written in his unmistakable block letters. "If things escalate, call her. She knows everything." Evelyn whispered under her breath, "What did you get yourself into, Henry?" And more importantly, what had he been protecting her from? She didn't have long to wonder. Her phone vibrated violently against the table. Lucas. Again, she stared at his name, feeling the familiar ache push into her ribs. But instead of dread, she felt something cleaner, sharper. "Resolve," she answered. "Yes?" Lucas didn't say hello. "Mom, we need to talk." "Now." "That depends," she said, voice steady. "Are you ready to apologize?" "For what?" "Being concerned. For trying to help you?" Evelyn closed her eyes. There it was, the same smooth, oily tone he used on loan officers when he wanted them to ignore the fine print. "I'm busy," she said. "Call me later." "You're making mistakes." "Big ones," Lucas said. "And people are noticing." Kim talked to a doctor, and Evelyn laughed. Actually laughed. A doctor, or someone Kimberly found in a Facebook group about early cognitive decline. Silence crackled on the line. "You're not funny, Mom," Lucas finally snapped. "We're trying to intervene before this gets worse." "Intervene?" Evelyn repeated, her hands curling. Lucas, I may be 72, but I'm not a project, and am certainly not your next paycheck. She hung up. Her hand shook, but not from fear, from power, from control. And it felt good. Gerald arrived 10 minutes later, already wearing his I smell trouble flannel. Thought you might need backup, he said. I need more than that, Evelyn replied, handing him Henry's note. I need clarity. Gerald scanned the codes again. I told you what I knew, but there's someone else who might fill in the rest. She raised an eyebrow. Who? Captain Rowan Pierce. Evelyn remembered the name vaguely. Henry had mentioned a Pierce now and then, usually followed by something like smart bastard who doesn't know how to retire. Gerald continued. He was Henry's supervisor on 3 of those projects, the kind of man who keeps classified tattooed on his conscience. Will he talk? Gerald gave a dry smile. If Henry asked him to someday, hell talk. They drove 20 minutes to Rowan's cabin, an old wooden structure resting against the trees like a stubborn old mule, refusing to fall apart. Rowan opened the door before they reached it, as if he'd been waiting. He was older than Evelyn expected. Lean, weathered, eyes sharp as cold nails. Evelyn Hart, he said. Not a question. A greeting. She shivered. How did you? Henry told me you'd come if the time ever came. Rowan stepped aside. And if you're here, that means it came. Inside his living room were maps, harbor layouts, old Navy journals, black and white photos taped to corkboard, and one picture that made Evelyn's breath stop. Henry, younger, standing beside a metal vault submerged in concrete. What is that? She whispered. Rowan exhaled slowly. A mistake, he said. One your husband spent 40 years trying to fix. He pointed at the vault. Henry and I helped build that. We were told it held emergency supplies for national defense, but we later learned it held something else: records, documents, evidence of illegal offshore deals some wealthy men did not want exposed. Evelyn felt the room tilt. Henry told them he wouldn't be part of it, Rowan said. He tried to walk away, but men like that, powerful men, they don't like loose ends. Are you saying Henry was in danger? Evelyn whispered. Rowan nodded. And so are you. A cold knot formed in her stomach. What does this have to do with Lucas? She asked. Rowan gave her a long, pitying look. You think your son stumbled into this mess accidentally? Evelyn blinked. He was just careless, reckless. He bragged about deals. Yes, Rowan said. Deals arranged by people tied to that vault. People who knew Henry had information that could undo them. They used your son's greed to flush out what Henry left behind. Evelyn's breath trembled. And the box? It was never about the box, Rowan said. It was about what Henry hid inside it. Evelyn clutched the folded note in her hands. For the first time, she felt utterly, dangerously exposed. Rowan leaned closer. Evelyn, if they think you have the codes, they won't stop at rumors. They'll take you apart piece by piece. The room fell silent, and Evelyn understood. This wasn't just a family betrayal anymore. This was a war, and she was standing at the front line. Evelyn had thought the darkest part was discovering the vault and the network of men who moved money in the shadows. She was wrong. The twist came that same night, after leaving Rowan Pierce's cabin. Her house, her sanctuary, felt off before she even touched the doorknob. The front door was cracked open, just enough to invite dread. She didn't step inside. She listened. The silence was too controlled, too perfect. Evelyn called Gerald, and 10 minutes later he arrived gripping an old baseball bat. They searched room by room. Nothing broken, nothing missing. Until Evelyn walked into the den. Henry's binder was gone, the laptop still warm. Someone had been looking for the codes. A chill tightened around her ribs. Then she spotted a slip of paper tucked beneath the lamp. Printed, not handwritten. We need to talk. No signature. Fear coiled inside her, but this fear sharpened instead of softened her. Evie, Gerald whispered, holding the note like it was toxic. They know you have it. And for the first time, Evelyn understood. This wasn't a family problem anymore. This was a hunt. Evelyn sat at the kitchen table, breath quivering as she replayed the night's events. Someone had been in her home. Someone who knew where Henry kept the truth. Someone who left calmly, intentionally, confident enough to leave a message. She opened the folder. Rowan insisted she take a second set of contingency plans Henry had prepared. Among the pages was something Shed overlooked. A list of contacts, lawyers, former contractors, old intelligence operatives, and at the bottom, circled twice, Lydia Crane, private intelligence. She knows everything. Only call if the danger becomes real. Danger had a name now. It wore muddy boots. It searched her home, and it wasn't going away. Evelyn dialed the number. The woman picked up on the second ring. Mrs. Hart, Henry's wife. I was wondering how long it would take. Evelyn's breath stilled. You knew he'd call? Yes, Lydia said. He told me you would when the wrong men got too close. What men? Evelyn whispered. The ones your husband double-crossed by doing the right thing. Pack a bag, Lydia instructed. Drive toward County Road 12. Text me when you're moving. Evelyn didn't hesitate. She grabbed Henry's note, the spare phone Rowan gave her, and her coat. Gerald insisted on following behind in his truck. As they drove into the night, her phone buzzed. Lydia again. Don't take the route they expect. Turn left at the old quarry. Evelyn's stomach clenched. Gerald. She thinks someone's watching the normal routes. They might be, Gerald murmured. They passed a black SUV idling beneath a pine tree, engine on, lights off, watching. The moment Gerald's Buick rolled past, the SUV pulled onto the road behind them, slow, deliberate. Gerald, Evelyn whispered. Don't speed up suddenly. I won't, he said, but she could see his knuckles whitening. Evelyn's spare phone buzzed again. Now, turn right, fast. Now, Gerald. The Buick swerved down a dirt road, gravel spraying like sparks. The SUV sped past the turn too fast to follow without losing control. For a moment, they were alone. Then Evelyn's main phone chimed voicemail. From Lucas. She pressed play. Mom. I didn't know what they were planning. They came to the house. They said Dad left something dangerous. They said they could help you if you cooperated. But Mom, don't trust them. Don't trust. The message ended abruptly. Evelyn stared at the screen. Her pulse thudded in her ears. Her son wasn't the architect of this nightmare. He was the bait. They reached the meeting point, an abandoned rest stop with a single flickering street lamp. Gerald parked behind Evelyn, stepping out with the bat still in his hands. A dark sedan rolled into view. The engine cut. A tall woman in a black coat stepped out. Sharp eyes, no fear. Mrs. Hart, she said. You made it. You knew I was being followed, Evelyn said. Of course. Lydia's tone was steady. Henry warned me the moment his past caught up, his wife would be next. Why? Evelyn asked. What do they want from me? Lydia stepped closer, lowering her voice. Henry didn't just leave you a fortune, Evelyn. He left you evidence. Evidence that could destroy men who built empires on secrets. Men who believed the person holding those codes she tapped Evelyn's purse should not live long enough to know what she has. Evelyn's breath hitched. So, this isn't about money. No, Lydia said. This is about survival. Yours and theirs. Suddenly, headlights appeared on the highway, 2 cars. Moving slow, coordinated. Lydia's jaw tightened. They found us. Gerald stepped forward with the bat. Absurd but loyal. What do we do? Lydia didn't blink. We move. Now. The wind whipped through the trees like something warning them. Evelyn felt her world tilting, accelerating. Everything she had known, her home, her son, her memories, had become a battlefield she never asked for. And yet, standing in that flickering light, she felt something fierce rise inside her. Henry trusted me to finish what he started. Lydia grabbed her arm. Mrs. Hart, Evelyn, you need to understand something before we go. Evelyn met her eyes. Lydia's voice was steady as steel. The men coming for you aren't coming to negotiate. They're coming to erase you. The night seemed to hold its breath, and Evelyn Hart, widow, mother, the woman everyone thought was fragile, finally understood. This was only the beginning. The night swallowed Evelyn whole, as Lydia's black sedan sped down the empty highway, the headlights slicing through darkness like a blade. Gerald followed close behind, determined to shield her even when the danger had grown into something neither of them fully understood. Evelyn pressed her hand against the cold window, watching the tree line smear past. Only hours ago, she was a widow with a quiet kitchen, a nearly finished crossword puzzle, and a belief that life, even in its loneliness, was still safe. Now she was sitting in the back seat of a stranger's car, hunted by men her husband once feared, clutching a note encoded with secrets worth killing for. Her life, everything she thought she knew, was collapsing under her feet. Lydia glanced at her in the rearview mirror. "Evelyn, you need to hear this before we reach the safe house." Evelyn forced her voice steady. "Tell me, those men aren't just after the codes. They want the vault contents. Evidence your husband recovered things that could take down some powerful people." Lydia paused. "And they believe you know where it is." Evelyn's heart lurched. "I don't, but they don't know that." Lydia's voice darkened. "And men like that don't ask twice." Wind battered the car. Evelyn closed her eyes. "Henry, what did you drag me into?" Lydia continued. One of them already made contact with Lucas. The breath left Evelyn's lungs. "My son? He didn't betray you intentionally," Lydia said. "They used his debts, his fear. They convinced him you had something they needed." Evelyn felt her chest tighten, the car suddenly too small. Lucas, the boy she raised, defended, prayed for, had led wolves to her door. The collapse inside her was quiet, but devastating. She whispered, "What if I can't forgive him for this?" Lydia replied gently, "That's not what you should be asking. The real question is, can you survive what comes next?" The road curved sharply, and for the first time, Evelyn realized how far past ordinary life she had traveled. There would be no returning to the woman she used to be. Not now. Not ever. The safe house was an old ranger station buried deep in the national forest. Lydia ushered Evelyn inside first, then Gerald, locking the heavy steel door behind them. The room smelled like cedar and dust, with a single lamp casting a warm but feeble glow across the desk. "We don't have long," Lydia said. "They'll track us eventually. But before they do, you need to see this." She opened her laptop and pulled up a video file. The screen flickered. Henry appeared older, paler, as if burdened by truths too large for one man to hold. "If you're watching this, Evelyn," he said softly, "I didn't make it in time." Gerald inhaled sharply. Evelyn felt her knees weaken. Henry continued, "Your safety depends on two things: keeping the codes out of the wrong hands and confronting the people who will come for them. You cannot run forever. You'll need help, real help." He looked directly into the camera, into her soul. "And you'll need to confront Lucas, Evie. He's already being used. If you don't face him now, he'll destroy himself trying to please men who won't hesitate to sacrifice him." Evelyn swallowed the stone lodged in her throat. Lydia paused the video. "We think Henry knew. Your son is at a motel 2 hours from here, alone, scared, and the men after you are on their way to him next." Evelyn's chest twisted. "Why? Because he's the weakest link." "No," Evelyn whispered, shaking her head. "He's my son, and he won't survive what's coming unless you reach him first." Gerald stepped closer, voice steady. "Evie, you know he'll follow you, whatever you choose." Evelyn looked between them, the weight of Henry's warning pressing deeper with each breath. "I need to see him," she said at last. The drive to the motel was tense, quiet except for the hum of the engine and Evelyn's rattling heartbeat. They found Lucas pacing outside the door to room 17, head in his hands, phone buzzing unanswered in his pocket. When he looked up and saw her, his eyes filled with shame. "Mom, I never wanted any of this." She approached slowly, her heart breaking with every step. "Oh, Lucas, what have you done?" His voice cracked. "They said Dad left something dangerous. They said if I helped them, they'd clear my debts. I thought they'd leave you alone." "And did they?" Evelyn asked. Lucas shook his head violently. "No, they kept asking where the codes were. I told them I didn't know. I swear I didn't." Before Evelyn could respond, tires screeched in the distance. Headlights cut across the parking lot. Lydia hissed, "They're here. Get behind me." Lucas grabbed Evelyn's arm. "Mom, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know they'd hurt you." Evelyn looked at him, not the adult had become, but the child he once was, and whispered, "It's time to stop running." The car doors slammed. 3 men stepped out, dressed in dark jackets, faces shadowed. The confrontation was inevitable. One of the men spoke first. "Mrs. Hart, well, make this simple. Give us the codes." Lydia moved in front of Evelyn. "You're not touching her." The man smirked. "You think you can stop us?" Evelyn stepped forward before Lydia could block her. "You made a mistake," she said quietly. "You underestimated a grieving widow." The man laughed. "And what are you going to do, Mrs. Hart?" Evelyn reached into her coat, slow, deliberate, and held out her phone. "I'm going to show you something." A second video loaded. Henry, younger, fiercer, and he was talking about them. Names, dates, transactions, offshore accounts, crimes, their crimes. The men froze. Henry had recorded everything. Lydia whispered, "Evelyn, what is that?" "Insurance," Evelyn said softly. "Henry left it for me, and for them." One man lunged, panicked. Lydia disarmed him cleanly, pinning him to the pavement. Gerald swung the bat with surprising precision, knocking the second man off balance. The third man fled to the car, but Lucas stepped in front of him, trembling, blocking the door. "No more," Lucas said. "I won't help you anymore." The man shoved him aside, but Lydia had already disabled the car's engine. Sirens wailed in the distance, ones Lydia had called 20 minutes earlier when they arrived. Evelyn exhaled the breath she'd been holding for years. It was over. Not cleanly, not beautifully, but over. The sun was rising by the time the police took statements. Lydia spoke with sharp efficiency. Gerald glowed with exhausted pride. Lucas sat on the curb, holding his head in his hands, shattered but alive. Evelyn stood apart, watching the edge of the horizon turn gold. She wasn't the same woman from the beginning of this story. She had been betrayed, hunted, tested, and rebuilt. Lucas approached hesitantly. "Mom, I don't deserve forgiveness." Evelyn took his hand. "Maybe not. But forgiveness isn't a reward, Lucas. It's a choice. And I choose to start again." He broke into sobs, leaning into her. Lydia walked over. "So what now, Evelyn?" Evelyn looked at the morning sky, at the life she'd nearly lost, and at the future she still had the power to shape. "Now," she said softly, "I live. On my own terms. Henry protected me, so I could finally protect myself." She turned to Lydia, "And I plan to finish what he started." The forest around them glowed with first light, a new beginning, born from the wreckage. And Evelyn Hart, no longer fragile, no longer underestimated, stepped into the sunrise with the certainty that she'd survived her darkest chapter. And the best part of her story was still ahead. The legacy he left, the legacy she became. The dust had barely settled when Evelyn Hart stepped out of the motel parking lot and into the first sunlight she'd seen in days. Everything behind her, fear, betrayal, danger, felt like the final pages of a book she never meant to open, yet somehow survived. Lucas stood beside her, shaken, humbled, finally understanding the cost of the choices he'd made. Gerald and Lydia watched quietly, each knowing they had witnessed a transformation few people ever get to see. Evelyn inhaled deeply. For the first time since Henry's death, the air didn't feel heavy. It felt like freedom. She reached into her coat pocket and pulled out the note Henry had left creased, worn, but unbroken. "Just like her, you are stronger than you know, Evie. I only built the shield. You were always the warrior." She folded the note, looked up at the sky, and whispered, "I won't waste the second chance you gave me." Lucas turned toward her. "Mom, what happens now?" Evelyn smiled, not softly, not sadly, but with the quiet fire of a woman reborn. "Now, I rebuild. On my terms, with people who don't mistake my age for weakness," Lydia added. "And the men who hunted you?" Evelyn looked toward the distant woods, where the last of the patrol cars vanished. "They underestimated the wrong widow," she said. "They won't make that mistake again." The camera of life seemed to zoom in on her face, resilient, proud, relentless. She wasn't just surviving. She was claiming the rest of her life. And as she walked away from the motel, sunlight on her shoulders, she became something far more powerful than the hunted. If this story moved you, if Evelyn's strength inspired you, if you want more twists, more justice, more fearless women rewriting their fate, hit like, tap subscribe. Tell us in the comments, what would you have done in Evelyn's place? Your voice matters, your story matters, and the next chapter might be yours.